Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. It's Sunday, May 12th, the year 2019. Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day if we have any moms out there who are also trading. And it's time. Let's talk trading weekly, open, and gap. Before that, as you know, if you've been watching my videos, just a little reminder, money and risk management, very important. You have to have it in place each and every trade. No exceptions, no excuses. Okay, we've got some gaps that still need to be filled here. You can see the euro yen is one of them. Remember last week we had some that didn't fill. So let's see what happens this week. Looking here, we can see everything is down. The year, the month, and the week, and the day. Okay, caution, we open below previous day's midpoint. So that usually indicates a short bias. We did go above it, but you can see we're right around the open. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Interesting here. You see we're below the first trading day of the year. Here's the weekly range so far this week. We're still below the first day of the month right here. And we're still below all the monthly opens. Hence, got red there, first trading day of each month. And we're below those opens still, or below those ranges actually still. Okay, now the interesting part. That inside bar on the daily happened 3 days ago. We've got an inside bar on the week that happened 2 weeks ago, and an inside bar on the month that happened 1 month ago, the previous month. And so you can see here, look for a break to the upside at 51 and a break to the downside at 123.10. So far, we're within the candle body here, the previous day's session, and not much range to speak of, even though the new beast is at 99 so far, and we've only been open about 6 hours. Okay, weekly highest open, daily highest open. That's showing last week's right there for some strange reason. Here's the weekly H1 lowest open, and here's the lowest of the month. Here's the lowest day of the month open, and here is the lowest H1 open for the month. Buy zone, let's see, pivot points right there at the buy zone. No real bias, but we did have a gap down, so we wanted to take that long. See here, if there's the close, we haven't quite hit it. And then there was a short trigger after we took out the pivot. Now we're right here at the weekly daily open. Rat zone, only 31 pips range. No rat zone at the moment. Once again, we took out the pivot. Here's a missed pivot here from the previous day. And so we will see which way we go. So far, 3 missed pivots this month, 1 from last month, 1 from January this year. Price action, 1 ball, green at the line pro trade, and green at the line normally. Couple pips to be had there. The wick zone, so far we haven't entered the wick zone, so no trade there. One of my favorite trading screens here. So far, just waiting for a line to get ready to cross. As you can see here on the tick chart, we had some movement to the upside coming right back down, but as you can see, there's not much happening. Really slow on the ticks here. Einstein line. Once again, there was a little spike there, back down. Now, I want to show a couple of charts here that traders, actually the first one a trader asked me, he was wondering about doing the wick zones. Because normally when I show the wick zones, I show the wick zone indicator. I think I wrote that one back in 2014. But you see, I've updated TROHL5. I've given you some options. So show the top and the bottom true, show the high, show the low. So that gives you your wick zones. Here's the high, here's the top, here's the bottom for the previous day. So then all you have to do is come down here, 1 day, 1 bar, and shift it back 1 day. And then that will paint you the wick zone. Now, just to make it a little bit easier on the eyes, where is it? You shade the current day and previous day, except the previous day isn't showing the shade for some strange reason too. I'm wondering if I've got the most current version of the indicator. I'm not sure why that's not showing it. But so this is the current day here, but these are the wick zones from the previous day. Easy to show you right here. You can see that, and then we can drop the H1 or down to M15. One I prefer for the wick zone. Whoops, didn't mean to move that. And so that's how you set that indicator up. No, there's no alerts on it. But you can use it to see where the wick zones are. Very simple. No, and the wick zones don't shade either. Now, something I was listening to a trader's podcast this morning, and he was talking about bank levels. Whenever I hear that, I'm interested because a level would be a horizontal line. In fact, the guy calls them, moving averages and stochastics and the MACD and the RSI. He calls them wavy lines. I call them squigglies. He calls them wavy. But he says, basically don't use those squiggly or wavy line indicators. So, of course, I liked him. But he mentioned the bank levels, and he said something about returning to monthly levels. So I thought, that's interesting. So what I did was, once again, using TROHL5, what I did was just showing, and then I came down here. Let's use the monthly period, 12 bars, shift once. So we've got the previous 12 months worth of monthly highs and lows. So right now we're looking at the weekly chart, and you can see where these levels were put in. Now, what's interesting is how many times are these levels respected or not respected. So what you can do, once again, coming here, there's a couple of neat options you can use. Only show not crisscross. So if a line's been crossed and crossed again, we eliminate them. So right here you can see some interesting lines here. So if you're wondering why is this line still showing? Well, you see it came down, but it hasn't come back up. So it hasn't been crisscross on the weekly. But if you shift to the daily, you can see here, it's looking and it says, nope, it still has not been crisscrossed. So I hope you can understand that. Even though, this is very interesting, one above, one below. I might have to check the code on the crisscross to see if it's looking at it might be looking at the monthly period as opposed to the daily period. So I might have to switch something because that is kind of interesting. But you see here the lines that haven't been crisscrossed. And you can scrunch it back looking this way. Now there's something else that's also interesting. You know, sometimes you hate having all those lines on your chart. You only want to see lines that are near the price. So right here you can have a threshold of 10 pips. Only show lines that are near 10 pips. And for some strange reason, they all went away. So I guess this is not near 10 pips. Now let's see if we can find another pair. Might show something. So right here, you can see there's a couple of lines that are within that 10 pip limit. So that way, you don't have to worry about things you can't see. So here it would show when it gets near, so you can think, oh, I can put a trade on, or maybe take a trade off, or see what happens at that level. So I hope those two things help you, but I really think it's kind of interesting, the looking at the monthly levels here. We can just take that off and just show them all to see whether or not price respects these or not. But I do think there might be some merit in this, saying, okay, well, if price goes to a a previous month's high, what's going to happen, or previous month's low? Is it going to support? Is it going to reject? Is it going to break through? Is it going to resist? It might be something to consider, because he's saying, banks are looking at things, on a much longer term than the intraday or intraday day traders. So they put on a position, they might be holding it for months. So it's pretty interesting, because here, 2 months ago, we passed through that line. And we'll have to see what happens here. So just keep in mind this 123.65 price goes up. So fellow traders, that's it for the weekly opening gap. If you have any questions, you guys should know how to get a hold of me. And remember, as you are trading this week, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So let's have a good week of draining the banks.